House.
The member for Mildura.
Thank you, Acting Speaker. And it is my pleasure to rise to talk about energy in the National Energy Retail Law Bill 2024. And lovely to see you in the chair this afternoon as I do so. This bill, as other members in this place have stated today, is designed to make the Australian Energy Regulator responsible for ensuring Victorians are not left in the dark if their energy provider goes under. And it seems like a good day to have this conversation, given that it is becoming more obvious how hard it is to do business and how tough businesses are doing it in this current climate. So it is a real reality. We've seen it with builders, we see it with airlines today, we see it with small businesses. We've seen it for the last few years. So having a safety net for consumers to keep the lights on is obviously something that we would support. But let's talk about not being left in the dark. And if that is a consideration, then obviously we would like other safety nets as well, and we would support other measures such as, not putting all energy eggs into one basket perhaps. And that requires, obviously, conversations about alternatives and what is best for different communities. I actually had the chance over the break, Acting Speaker, to travel to France to attend Villers-Bretonneux, who's a sister city of Robinvale, my hometown, to celebrate the 40th anniversary of that twinning of the cities. And spending a few days there with mayors and councillors and also their department heads and senators, and driving around some sites on the Western Front in the north of France. The landscape there is, in the words of Mayor Dinois, who is the mayor of Villers-Bretonneux, the landscape is polluted with wind turbines. They are everywhere, and they produce, in the area of Villers-Bretonneux itself, they produce about 6% of France's wind energy. However, and it's been there for 20 years, we had a conversation while we were driving around, they've been doing this for 20 years and the turbines are approaching end of life, which has become a concern for his community. There's been all sorts of concern from the communities, but they are now looking at new technology, new renewable technology, because France uses a lot of nuclear, yes, but they are also very, very aware of the advances in technology that are happening very quickly, and they are technologically agnostic, as are we. We just know that there needs to be safety nets in place, and he was talking about new technology in solar, which is something that I know the federal leader of the Nationals has been talking about, this new technology, and putting panels on every rooftop, whether it is big warehouses, homes, having batteries where the power is needed. Because the other issue that was discussed was that even though the north of France, around Villers itself, produces 6% of France's power, they can't actually get it to where it needs to go. They can't get it to Paris because of transmission issues. And that of transmission issue, I know, which might lead me on to another subject that is quite contentious in my community. Let's talk about the VNI West project, shall we? Because I didn't get to speak about this last time. So the transmission projects that are on the table in Victoria at the moment seem to be reckless, unplanned, a rush to unrealistic targets, and the issue for communities is, in Victoria, in my communities, is that they are not having the chance to have their say. And when being given the chance to speak on energy legislation, I can't let the opportunity go by without expressing the discontent of people in Charlton, in Donald. Everywhere that is illustrated on the VNI West plan with the reckless rollout of renewables and these targets. Now, I'll repeat again, we are not opposed to the transition to renewables. We are technologically agnostic. We want it done in a common sense, well-planned, thought-out manner, like using existing easements, upgrading the lines that already exist. What we are opposed to is having the lifeblood sucked out of regional Victoria and the opportunities for communities that are directly affected to have their say. And I mean, in this place today, it's very apparent that democracy in Victoria is dying. We've been gagged. As communities feel they have been gagged, they've lost the ability to have a voice, and we can't do, exactly, member for Gippsland South, a bit like the chamber, and it's an absolute disgrace. And people in the communities of Victoria, particularly regional Victoria, which fear for their livelihoods, which are agricultural land, that they feel like it's one big contradiction if they apply to put housing for workers on their agricultural land. They can't do that because of all the red tape that surrounds it. Even in a housing crisis, even in a workforce crisis, they can't put housing on their agricultural land because it is prime agricultural land. But when it comes to the reckless rollout of a transmission grid that there are alternatives to, and it's been illustrated, then the need for community consultation has been taken away, and the ability to even fight against this has been taken away from them. You can understand why communities in regional Victoria feel like they have had all of their power taken away, and it's not overstating it. There was another meeting in Charlton again last week, another rally, and St Arnaud again, Stall exactly the same. There are photos all over the internet. It's been widely reported about the discontent in these communities. And again, not that they are opposed to renewables, it's being opposed. They are opposed to not being able to have a say, to not being consulted properly. They feel like it's a bit of a tick-the-box exercise and they move on. And that is not okay. This is supposed to be a democracy. So you can understand why communities feel the way that they do. And then after seeing programs, like I said, overseas that have been there for 20 years and now they're considering what the next step is, there's opportunity here to actually look into the future at countries like France that have been doing this for a long, long time and perhaps leapfrog past technology and move on to what's next and have a look at that in a slow, much slower, considered, common sense manner. And let's talk about gas. I actually moved house recently and into a house that has a gas cooktop, which is actually life-changing. I can cook a stir-fry again. It's actually fantastic. So the gas industry, of course, you know, there's just the lack of thought and broad-minded thinking rather than just putting all your energy eggs into one basket is mind-boggling. However, this bill and adopting provisions of the National Energy Retail Law and providing a retailer of last resort, if you like, and the arrangements and the provisions of that law that support effective operations of those provisions will add some additional protection for Victorian households, which they will probably need, and it will also add protection to Victorian businesses if their energy provider does go under. We are not opposed to this bill. In fact, we are in support of safety nets for Victorian households and Victorian businesses because we know times are tough out there at the moment. You know, with increased and more taxes, the budget's not far away, things are going to get tougher before they get better. So we don't oppose this, but I think there needs to be a broader picture view to more safety nets where the energy market in Victoria is I've said safety net enough, but I think it is required where we are talking about energy in Victoria.